Howdy folks, Nathan here in the middle of the Mojave Desert with the Fastlane buggy. And I have a $27,000 question for you. Do you buy a badass vehicle like this, the Polaris RZR XP Turbo S, or do you get an entry-level Jeep Wrangler for the same price? Well, at the end of the video, and this is a hell of an adventure video, I can tell you that right now, I'm going to give you the verdict. I actually had a room with a mirror above the bed, which is great when you're by yourself. Good stuff. And got the essentials, coffee, and we're off to drive. I'm looking forward to it. Alright, we're just starting to walk around and have a look at the vehicles. These two batches right here are the ones that we'll be driving today. So what this is all about, in my mind, is this. That's a 32-inch tire. It's the largest one that's available on any model like this. And what they had to do is increase everything to make this work.
It is completely redesigned from the old turbo, and that's kind of the main story of this. It is absolutely nothing like the RZR XP Turbo that you guys have all kind of known and loved in the past, right? The one thing that is the same to the RZR XP Turbo as of today would be the power plant, obviously, right? So we're still running 168 horses, but the way we use that power has been obviously completely redesigned. So the drivetrain, the suspension, the tires, everything like that, all brand new. One other piece on the power is that we did increase the top speed from 80 miles an hour to 85 miles an hour. And then we tinkered with the throttle mapping to be quite a bit more aggressive. A lot just to get the bigger tires off the line faster, but just for some kind of overall performance upgrades for the machine. But what we're gonna walk into is three main facts or messages that we wanna talk about with this machine that really set it apart from the rest of the industry. Number one, this is the industry's toughest machine. Number two, it has the industry's most capable suspension. And number three, it has the industry's most evolved cockpit.
So the briefing's over, and now we get to choose our vehicle. I'm really partial to blue. I just think it looks better. By the way, I did notice that they have things like a winch that you can pop in here, and you have the camera. So there are accessories that you can throw on here. And next to Jeeps, I would imagine this vehicle is probably one of the more popular vehicles to accessorize. Finally got into my harness. It's a 4-point, which is standard. And I gotta be honest with you, whoever was driving this before me was a hell of a lot skinnier. But fortunately, it's not only snug, but I can probably be almost twice my size and still be able to put this on. They have a lot of extra strap. Steering fully adjustable. Well, at least it is with rake. And it sits a little further back than it used to, so it's almost in your lap by comparison to the old model.
This is truly the only machine in the side-by-side world that is set up from the chassis to the drivetrain. Every single piece of this machine is set up to run 32-inch tires. You wouldn't think that just changing a few inches does that much from a capability force standpoint to the vehicle, but these are actually driving 2 to 3 times as much load and force into the links, the drivetrain, the chassis itself. We literally had to reinforce and strengthen basically everything. It's like, okay, chassis has to be stronger, bars have to be stronger, control arms. I mean, you can see it just from the front here. Control arms, way bigger, stronger. They're now high clearance, arched in the front as well, so you have even more clearance. The tie rods, the knuckles, the sphericals, the bearing carriers. In the back, these trailing arms are 67% stronger than they used to be. We used to have kind of the little 2x4 of metal in the past. These things are machined now, tubular. How badass are these trailing arms? One of the biggest things is the front drive. This front drive is amazing, brand new. It's about, if you set them on a table, 2 times bigger than the old front drive. It's a massive piece of chunk of metal. We now are running 16 inches, industry leading ground clearance. Look at the gap between the frame and the ground. You know, the X3 also very wide machine, a little bit lower style. I promise you guys, things that would scrape the bottom of an X3 would be laughed at by this vehicle. The ground clearance on this is insane. We kept a 90-inch wheelbase specifically with this redesign because this is just as flickable as any of our other chassis are.
Everything's been augmented in order to support these massive 32-inch tires. That's also including this brand new Fox setup. In terms of suspension, you have 3 modes. You can have comfort, you can have the sport, you can have the full-blown hardcore off-road setting, and everything goes through here. That's pressure to make it firm or less firm. And the entire setup has been beefed up once again because of these.
Inside has been completely redesigned as well. Basically anything that you can touch in here, aside from like the shifter and the cup holders, has been redesigned and made more premium some way. So obviously we got the new seats. We have a 4-point harness straight from the factory, something consumers have been asking for. We have a brand new wheel, something consumers have definitely been asking for. This is a Sparco wheel, flat bottom. This thing is a home run. A lot more welds than bolts that we used to have, just as far as the ratio. So you got the one continuous piece and then the 2 middle sections are all that bolt in, but this thing is just absolutely awesome. It's about a little more than a bar and change lower in the rear than it used to be, kind of from that wedge we had. Just a lot more sculpted like a buggy would be. And then obviously the aluminum roof coming straight from the factory.
So it's already been a pretty big adventure. One of the buggies actually rolled. Unfortunately, no major injuries. We're thrashing these things really hard. I am not a professional when it comes to driving razors, side-by-sides and what have you. So I don't think I've even come close to its envelope, so to speak. But I have had an opportunity to bounce it around, knock off rocks. These tires, they're really robust. They can take it. We did get a little bit of air a few times. Honestly, if I had the money to put this on the back of a trailer and take it somewhere and beat the crap out of it, throw it back on the trailer, bring it home, throw it in the garage, hose it down, I'd buy it. it's really good. Now, there are a couple issues. One is it's a little squirrely sometimes in terms of steering, and the steering feel isn't all there. It's slightly over-boosted, and it has to be because of, well, frankly, everything beefed up and heavier and thicker and larger. This thing has a top speed of 85 miles per hour. So do I have a verdict on a $27,000 Polaris RZR Turbo? If you were able to build a Jeep Wrangler, a brand new one, all the way up to match the capacities of this vehicle in terms of off-road, you'd be at a $50,000 Jeep. I really enjoyed my drive. This is cheaper than therapy. Trust me on that. I hope that you guys get an opportunity to drive one of these, and soon. For the Fastlane car and the Fastlane truck and the Fastlane buggy, this is Nathan. I'll see you later.